we are coming to the end. It's really a pity, because now the conversation was getting really interesting, also focusing on what is going on in Portugal and Spain. And unfortunately, we cannot have lunch together as we would have if we are on a face-to-face event. But I think hopefully this will be not, this is the first time that we are getting together to discuss research assessment in this context of open science, and hopefully not be the last one. Just before giving the floor to Eva Méndez, that will try to come up with some wrap up of the main topics of discussions here today. I just want to invite you all to go. I think you are seeing see my screen. We have discussed during this event today several times the question of the obstacles and barriers for the reform of career assessment. And so I will invite you to try to reply to this Mentimeter. So please go to menti.com. You can use your cell phone. Probably it will be even easier if you do that. So you don't need to if you are using your computer to participate on this webinar. So if you go to your cell phone, you input the code 731949. And you can try to rate the importance of a couple of factors that could have an impact on this issue. So this will remain open for you to reply, and we'll come back to the results when Eva ends her presentation. So please go to menti.com. The code is 731949. I think Paula is also putting that on the chat. So please reply, and Eva, please take the floor, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Eloy. Let me try to share my presentation, which is an on-the-go presentation, by the way. We have been all the members of the organizing meeting, sharing notes, sharing the chat. This is one of the most amazing things that happen in the online context, that we can make what I call an augmented a conference, sharing links, sharing ideas, and sharing on the time that we are listening, also sharing what we are thinking. And what I'm going to present you is something like what I have to stress, so what I have heard, and also the key ideas, which is I think the main conclusion of the whole panel is that we all agree that we need to change the way we measure science. Why would you do it? Why we don't do it is my question that I did in 2016 with the call for action, the Amsterdam presidency, I mean the Netherlands presidency of the council. And I think that had an impact, at least in the Netherlands, because in our first presentation, if you see the main ideas that Rianne was showing at, it was kind of I'm trying to fix the key sentence. Probably you stick in your mind much more because her presentation was amazing and very inspiring, as everybody in the chat have been sharing. But she mentioned that we have to change from pressure to pleasure. I think for me it's very sad when I see the PhD students, that some of them, they are all today following us, along with the rectors and the policymakers. But sometimes the PhD students, the new generations, the ones that we will put the new world in their hands, they are sad because a paper was not accepted, or they are sad because they don't have the enough credit to have a career, to have a future, because this is not only for pleasure, they do for a pressure of making something happen. I would like to see after the new reward system, all the PhD students, all the newcomers, all the early career researchers smiling in our universities in Spain, in Portugal, and all over the world. And also in this change, she sees that there is a fantastic coalition, a fantastic cooperation between research performing organizations, the universities, we are all presented here today in the universities in Portugal and in Spain, but also the research funding organizations. We always have the umbrella of saying, no, the research funder, which is gonna give you the money, asks you to do this, so you do it. It's what I say, that the motivators of will, that the most sensitive part of the human body is the pocket. The other thing is that she mentioned that in this new reward system, in this new ideal and fantastic and amazing and challenging and inspiring scenario that they have in the Netherlands, they are going to reward open science as a way of change the way you behave. Again, the motivators of will. If your open science attitude is going to be rewarded, you will not be with your cards here because somebody can copy your idea. You will share your idea, and perhaps we can discover the COVID-19 vaccination between all of the researchers. And also, she mentioned something that for me is crucial, which is make all this academic reward system global, because it's not only in the Netherlands, it's not only in Spain or in Portugal. I was chatting with the students, perhaps they want to move now to the Netherlands instead of studying in Portugal or in Spain, because their career will be more challenging and more openly available. But the thing is that I want my students to go to Fulbright in the US. I want my students to go to study in Indonesia, whatever they want, because the system should be global. And also she mentioned something that was very underlined on the Q&A session, that quantitative measures they have the trend to, or the appearance to be fairer, which is not. And also this is making a bias on damaging female careers, which is really crucial in the kingdom of the responsible research and innovation that is really behind all what we have been talking today. For the second panel, I would like, before going to the second panel, I would like to tell you what was the parallel discussion when Rianne was talking. She mentioned that a Master University have signed DORA Declaration along with other institutions in the world, but also they are implemented because they have the background of the national policy that embrace this policy. And I asked very kindly to the audience, how many people, how many of the institutions represented in the audience have signed DORA Declaration? And I said, not only signed, but also implemented. And we have Alexandra from University of Algarve, Patrick for the universities in Swiss, Swiss universities, which is like CRUE or CRUP, but in Switzerland. They have signed the Conference of Rectors, the DORA Declaration, and also Marta Emmerich from University Oberta of Catalonia. They have signed, and they are trying, I know that about that, trying to implement DORA Declaration. This was a parallel discussion, very interesting, but it's something that we have to think about, not only to sign the declarations, but also to implement it in our universities in Spain and in Portugal. From the second panel, that Pastora was kind to make a background of what is happening in the context of the EUA, the European University Association, with this amazing survey that they have done, and they gave us a lot of information about what is going to happen in the evaluation in the European universities. I just gathered one from Breck and another one from Cecilia. The slide that I have chosen from Breck is that one that really clearly showed us that the journal impact factor is the crucial indicator that we are using for the measuring researchers. We have, of course, the universities, the trend to not only to apply, but also to believe in the number, in the amazing magic number. But we have to think about that something else could be also possible, like having a more space for all the talents they can appear in the universities. And from Cecilia, I just got very underlined a very core idea of the review of the Charter and Code, which is that code that is pretty interesting and very, very good planned in the moment, but it's a bit old. It's from the 2005, and we need to evaluate with a clear and more, in the last 10 years, I will say in the last 5 years, open science have been more apparent and more present in our all academic systems. So it was a very good news that Cecilia tell us that it's going to be very review the Charter and Code, and because it's something that in the European Open Science Policy Platform recommendations, we ask the Commission to do, because we have to update what we do, because we have to do things updated and addressing the best way to have a background for research and innovation that includes open science, not only open access, because in the Charter and Code, it's very much based on the open access. And also in her slides, she mentioned this evaluation of research careers, fully acknowledging the open science practices, which is one of the my favorite documents in all the documents that the Commission has been producing in the last 4 years, along with the European Open Science Policy Platform work. And this is what happened to come with this career for assessment matrix that is not an indicator, but is perfect background of criteria to think about these different talents that Rian was showing us. And again, in the meantime, when we are talking about this, the question in the chat this time was the crucial journal impact factor, which is always what we are talking all the time, because it was in the slides of Breck, and the people that they are asking, Oscar was asking him about the journal impact factor, and Breck answered him that he is not so optimistic about the value of the journal impact factor. As he always says, that the journal impact factor can show you not the quality of the papers, it shows you the popularity of the journal. And it's absolutely unfair, even if it is so easy to evaluate it. But I will just pass to the next panel, because some of the key topics that we have been framed in the keynote that this panel have also underlined of the journal impact factor, the indicators and the key problems, have been addressed in the last panel that has been conducted by Bernard Rentier. And he asked them if it's open science challenging career evaluation in Iberian universities. And I think it was a crucial answer that all the panelists agree upon that, which is yes, this is the open science is challenging our universities, our systems, our evaluations. And I will say one word for all the panelists that I think they have to underline. They have underlined lovely ideas, but I will say that Mercedes have underlined very much the open knowledge idea, open knowledge institutions, and also the evaluation not only of the open access, but also the open science in a broader perspective. But open knowledge institutions should be considered. We need to have indicators to evaluate institutions too. That is something that has been appearing all the morning in the discussion, not only the individuals, but also the institutions. And in my opinion, we haven't talked enough about the rankings, which is the cancer of science, if I may say, because only 200 people are listening to me, but it doesn't matter. And this lets me go to the next speaker, Luis Neves, that he mentioned something that there are an absence of indicators that they prevent us to apply something else. The problem is not that we don't want to change the thing. The problem sometimes that we cannot blame the rankings, we cannot blame the agencies of evaluation to use the journal impact factor if we cannot provide something else. In the European Commission, we have been evaluating a report, making one of the expert groups that they come up with more than 149 indicators But now we need a platform where we just be so easy to make a number, or not a number, because we knew that numbers are very tricky and they make bias, to make something that can improve the way we evaluate science with current systems and with the current mechanisms of production and evaluation. Because this is what I said in last year European University Association workshop on rewards and incentives. We have to remember that we not only pay for publishing, we not only pay for publishing and reading, we also pay for the number. We pay Web of Science to give us our numbers. So this is kind of a very tricky situation that we all have underlined. And also Francisco has underlined a very interesting idea about cooperation and about the value of the data. The value of the data in the terms of the need of reproducibility, of replicability. It's what nature nowadays is trying to do. It's not only asking for the data, it's asking you for the replicability of your studies. That implies the underlying data, the methods, and also the software that it allows you to make research important. And also Maria Lourdes was underlying a very interesting idea that comes with it's different to evaluate, it's different to evaluate the criteria for people, and also the criteria to evaluate the institutions. And also she mentioned something that is very important that we have in the universities in Spain and in Portugal, which is the autonomy of each university. We have to have a common policy, a common national policy, that in Portugal you have an open access policy. In Spain we are working on that. I'm very happy to belong to the Commission of Open Science that is newly created or recreated to make this happen. But also we have to be conscious that institutions, we can have our own practical commitment for implementation as the institutional organizational level. This is my favorite representation of open science that I always say that is a biologically incorrect mushroom, where I put one of the roots, because I say this is a biologically incorrect mushroom because the mushrooms, they don't have roots, but we need a root, a crucial root, which is the research reward system and evaluation, which is one of the roots that it can make open science happen. And in this evolution of the mushroom, which is biologically incorrect, and in Jerun, we choose this representation of a tree that has a lot of ideas and also is the tree of science. And I'm happy to conclude with one of the best favorite slides from Brianne, that is the tree of open science, where there are many factors of the open science. And in my mushroom, I put the reward system. In her tree, the fantastic thing is that the reward system is there. It's not necessary to say that open science needs a new reward system, because it's there, and it's what is making this new tree of open science flourish. Thank you very much for your attendance, and thank you very much for being here with us today. I think the chat is giving us a lot of ideas and a lot of discussion, and I will give the floor to Eloy again, so he can tell you that what happened in the Mentimeter survey, and probably we can come up with the idea that is exactly the same that we were studying at the beginning, that we need to start, but we need to continue. Thank you very much. Eloy, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Eva. Can you stop
I
sharing?
will try to, yeah, I will try to stop sharing my thing.
I can do it. I can do it. I've done it. I've done it, and I'll start mine again. So these are the results of the Menti. I must admit that I'm a little bit surprised, because the first rank is the academic conservatism, and as you can see, also the second is lack of alignment between the different levels of assessment, between institutional and external assessment from founders or accreditation agencies. And also an interesting thing is that for the repliers of this Menti is that the lack of alternative indicators or metrics was all of them were of course highly voted, but the less voted is this one, the lack of alternative indicators and metrics. So and also the competitive environment. So the question of the rankings, and I totally agree with the bold statement from Eva, but it's kind of surprising that those two were the less voted on this metric. So while I just want to end by thanks to all that have been participating and organizing this event. But while we are doing this, I would also invite you to go again to Menti, and this will be still open while we close the session, and let us know what you think that CRUP and CRUE could do following up this seminar. What other type of activities could be done on for following up on this event? And to conclude, again, I would like to thank you all. We have around 190 people participating, mostly from Portugal and Spain, but really around the world. I really want to thank all my colleagues from the organizing from the program committee, and I invite them to show up all their faces. So please turn off if you are. Hopefully, you are still online. Turn off, turn on the cameras. Of course, thanks also to EUA, to the European University Association, to help us on CRUP and CRUE on organizing this, and also a special thanks to Paula Mora, that has been orchestrating and coordinating all the logistics of this, even doing as a late night Fellini last night, putting together the video that we show this morning. So thank you very much for your excellent work. And again, as Eva mentioned, we started this saying that this is time to move. We start moving, now we need to continue. So as I said initially, this was the start of the dialogue about career assessment and alignment career assessment with open science in Portugal and Spain. And I'm sure this is not be the end of the conversation. And hopefully we'll be able to meet face-to-face next year for a related event. Again, Minho will really be happy to host you here. We have a very nice location, and of course, very nice sweets and very nice wine too. So all good reasons to come here. So thank you all very much, and I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you.